Good evening, folks. This is Cliff Purvis and Russ Denny once more with the Recce Report.
Episode 25 tonight, mate, I believe we are.
25, yeah.
25 shows under our belt now, buddy.
Yeah, and I'd just like to point out I am not pinching an idea from Gordon Ross over IndyCar. I've literally just finished work. Late start, late finish. So we're doing this one from the car. Basically, I'm selfish. I didn't want you to hog all the limelight tonight.
Yeah, that's it, mate. We've got a roving reporter, Cliff.
Yeah,
who's been out and about on the wilds of the north-ish of Scotland, cutting around. So yeah, it's been a fun old week in politics, mate, hasn't it? We normally say there's been nothing happening, but actually, that'd be a bit of a lie this week. There's been lots going on this week.
Lots going on this week. Lots going on since we were last on.
Yeah, and I think we should start by the announcement from today that Douglas Ross has said that he is stepping down as the leader of the Scottish Conservatives.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It also says that he will resign as an MSP if he gets elected into the vacant MP slot that he's stolen from David Duguid.
Yeah, who is denying that he is too ill to stand. Yeah. What Douglas Ross has done today is what Douglas Ross has done every day. He has been an MP, an MSP. He is a bully. Yeah, he is only interested in furthering the career of Douglas Ross, and he will step on and discard anybody that no longer is of requirement. Yeah. Now, the financial side of things.
Yes.
Duguid will not receive any severance pay if he does not stand for re-election. Right. So he doesn't get any severance pay if he does not stand. If you stand and you don't get re-elected, then you get a severance pay. Okay.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Right. But because Douglas Ross has deselected him, and put himself in the place, that means if Douglas Ross loses, he gets a severance pay.
Because he's already an MP, but
he's standing for re-election.
But is that because the constituencies amalgamated or changed or something?
They changed, they rejigged it when we went down to 57 constituencies. Basically, in the UK, the Tories are gerrymandering everything. Right? Yeah. So they run. I think it was about 2 years ago. They ran a rule of thumb over things. And you have to have, I think it's somewhere in the region of 71,000 registered voters per constituency.
Okay.
Somewhere in that figure. So to keep, because we are depopulated, to say the least, up here, they can keep knocking off constituencies in Scotland and in Wales. They haven't touched Northern Ireland for some strange reason. But they've knocked 2 off us and 4 off the Welsh, England has got some more, because obviously their population is growing, because that's where they keep all the money down in London. So it attracts everybody from out west of England to go down and work there. So you're going to have more of a population down there. So we're down to 57 MPs now, against 430 odd.
Yeah, and that's why I know we're going a bit early this week, but that's why Douglas Ross is this month. Yoon of the week for Douglas Ross. Out of a cast of bloody hundreds, thousands, he's pipped to post. And you talked about population there, Cliff, and it's interesting. And a lot of people don't know this. To my Michael Caine bit here. Is that in 1707, when the Union happened, the population of Scotland at that time was 1 million.
Right.
The population of England at that time was 5 million. So 5 times more people. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we fast forward 300 years. The population of Scotland is 5.8 million, and the population of England is about 58 million. So 10 times more people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that just shows you the difference over 300 years of the investment that's travelled from south to north. Because if we truly had been a union of equals, the rise in population percentages would have been comparative, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course it would have. Yeah. And that is why, who's it came out with it? The levelling up ministers. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, we've been in a union of equals for over 300 years. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland has been in existence since 1921. Why? It's cut them some slack. They've had 103 years to get levelling up sorted out, and they have failed to do so. It is still London centric. All they want Scotland for is their natural resources. The cannon fodder is not so much important these days because no one's wanting to join up, and they obviously want to continue to use our inshore and offshore facilities to dump all the rubbish.
Absolutely, mate. And Southern Ireland, has shown you what leveling up looks like over the last 120 years by actually leveling up. Now, what's the only difference between Eire, the south of Ireland, and Northern Ireland? Well, one's shackled to the floundering Westminster cabal, and others cut themselves free. Yes, and they went through some tough times, but actually now Ireland is performing really, really well.
It is, yeah, especially since Brexit, because those ferries have suddenly bypassed the UK.
I know, mate. Don't get me started. And talking about, just come back to what you're saying about Douglas Ross and having nose in the trough. There was some good news, wasn't there? Is that the lady that defected from the SNP to the Tories?
Yep.
Do you remember her?
Lisa Cameron.
Yes, Lisa Cameron, MP. So I'm a little bit disappointed, Lisa Cameron. One, because she's a psychologist, which annoys me end, right? Because I thought she'd have a little bit more sense. But she has not been selected to stand as an MP in the upcoming general election. So she, good riddance.
Yeah, absolutely. She, in a blaze of publicity, defected from the SNP Westminster group to the Tory party, renouncing quite vocally her desire for Scottish independence. And it just goes to show, like Douglas Ross, the Tory party themselves, and let's face it, they only get these ideas from their heads of sheds. So you've got a Tory party that will use and abuse anybody to their own ends and then cast them aside.
And I'm always cautious of people that go so far across the political spectrum. So they go from, ostensibly a centre-left party, the SNP, to what's supposed to be a centre-right party, the Tories. Seems too big of a jump to me. I can understand it if she'd gone kind of Lib Dem, or something like that. But they go so far right, and I'm gonna and I'll maybe ruffle some feathers here. I'm a little bit wary of people like Tasmina Ahmed Sheikh, used to be a Tory and then went SNP. So I'd like to think, you should kind of seen the light. But I'm always wary of people that's very bandwagon jumping-y. Is that a word? It is now.
Yeah, it is now. Yeah. We're allowed to do it. Yeah, language is a continually evolving thing, so we can make up our own words.
Yeah.
I
mean, to be fair, mate, all words are made up.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. And she, of course, Tasman, she now resides in Alba.
Yeah, well, they'll be gone after the election, mate, when let's be honest.
I don't know. They're getting money from somewhere, and as long as they get that money.
But they are. So on the left, we have Alba, who are a minority party. I don't think I'm going to annoy too many people by saying that.
Yeah.
But then on the right, you've got this Reform Party, led now by Nigel Farage, who's again risen from the depths. I mean, he was on Question Time again the other night, so clearly they want him in.
Oh, of course they do.
Who has come back up, and it's quite worrying this rise in the right wing rhetoric, and you're seeing it in the European elections that just gone on,
which
like France and Belgium.
Yeah, which again, I mean, the centre left has won the election in Europe.
Yeah,
it's just been an increase with the centre, the right wing side of things. But to listen to the press in the UK, you would think that the right wing has won it. Yeah, because that's the agenda where we are at, as far as the mainstream media is. I think.
I think you're right.
They are pushing the right wing. You can't blame the right wing parties. The right wing parties are what they are. The people I think you can really blame are the so-called middle of the road parties, the mainstream parties, for trying to mimic the right wing.
Yes. They're populist parties, the clues in the name. And the truth is, and they do get it's clickbait. It's the new name for propaganda. It's clickbait. You say the things that are outrageous and you get them on there. And you have to hold accountable, as you say, the mainstream parties and the mainstream media as well. I mean, I flippantly said about Farage being on Question Time again. He's been on more than the Lib Dems, more than the SNP. Over the years, and literally has never had an elected MP or MSP. They had a couple of people in the European Parliament, but that's because that was proportional representation. Something that Nigel Farage doesn't actually like.
No, he didn't like Europe. Remember, he wanted to get out of Europe.
Doesn't like proportional representation. So the only chance they had of getting in was doing that, and it's just funny, and it's funny in the sad, funny way, in that we don't seem to have learned our lessons about the rise of right wing populism.
No.
And don't get me wrong, and it's a new thing. It used to be that conservatives were all about sort of small government, and personal responsibility, and we didn't quite agree on the principles, but they weren't that far right. They were very much hugging that line on the centre right.
Yeah.
As where Labour were hugging the line on the centre left, but both have started to drift
way over the right line
and chasing that. And the problem was, and the problem for Labour is that they vacated the position that the SNP now hold.
Yes.
Of being a very centre left party.
Yep.
And I don't think that people are quite ready yet, even if they ever should be ready to adopt further right or further left policies. Because I think both would be equally disastrous for the country.
Oh yeah, Farage is what he's standing in Clacton-on-Sea, whatever constituency falls in that, and he was down there just before the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and he stood up and they said there are youngsters that don't know what D-Day is. Yeah, right. Where are you getting that information from?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Absolutely is, mate. And that's another thing, the jingoism, the D-Day, and you'll see it next year. I mean, I think there's going to be a Holyrood election next year, isn't there?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
So you'll see that. So that's going to be 80 years since the end of VE Day.
Yeah.
So you'll see that be brought in by the jingoistic parties, claiming the flag and the troops for their own. I've already seen it this year. They talk about, and was it Prince William who quoted the poem, "There is a corner of a former land which is forever England," which is a lovely poem, but pisses all over the people that were not from England.
Yes. Especially during
the millions of troops that were from the Indian subcontinent and Scotland and Wales and Ireland, and the Commonwealth and Australia and Canada and all these sort of places. It was seriously tone deaf, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, you're going to get me started about the royalty now. I've fallen out with them big time. As I've said, I think on the show before, I didn't start off the independence campaign as being a Republican, but I most certainly am now. They are just cringing at all levels. They've taken a huge nosedive since Andrew Windsor went on TV to try and explain himself. Yeah. And that excuse he used.
I don't sweat. What are you on about?
Yeah. it's due to the high stress levels. I don't sweat. Well, I think me and you both have been in high stress levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can assure you, I still sweat buckets.
Yeah.
Usually when I'm spending money.
Yeah. And those high stress levels, sometimes the sweat was brown.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes. So, yeah, you know, it's a broken system down there. We've been saying this for years now. The Westminster system is only interested in maintaining the monarchy, maintaining the House of Lords. The Privy Council has got more power than what people seem to think they have. Yeah, it's not a rubber stamp affair. The monarch and his two IC, the heir, or the heir apparent, can reject any legislation that will directly impact either of them. So that's royal consent, not royal assent. That happens when a bill passes through Parliament. This is royal consent. So that goes up to the royalty way before it goes through the debate of the chamber or to the subcommittees. Yeah, so they can veto anything. Duchy of Cornwall's famous for it with the workers' rights, etc., and also for the SEPA, the environmental keeping the country clean people. So
the Royals are still the biggest landowners in the UK.
Yeah,
you know, they own large parts of Scotland.
Yeah,
and it's just absolutely ridiculous. And we say about you know, the jingoism, and you've seen you know, the king. I was going to say Prince Charles there. He's not been fucking Prince for a while. I'm swearing again. He's not been Prince for a while. King Charles now, with all his gongs on, and they go up. And part of it is and you've seen it already, the jingoism. The thing recently when they were talking about national service again, right? It's never going to happen.
No,
it's never going to happen, right? And the media must know it's never going to happen, but they still ran with it.
Yeah.
They still published the headlines like it was a legitimate proposal. Now you and I both know, right, that it's not going to happen. One, all the rich kids will get off it, right? I looked at the statistics, you know, the sort of 18 to 21, because talking about 18-year-olds. There's something like 250,000 18-year-olds in the UK at the moment, right? So let's say they take 100,000 of them. That's a really good estimate,
right?
So that's double the size, or almost double the size of the current forces.
Yes.
Full time, right? So where are they going to house them? How are they going to feed them? Where's the training estate? Where is the instructors for a start? It's just not possible. It would have to be a massive investment in defence estates, which the Tories are never going to pay. So do you know what that was? It was a dog whistle to the right-wing idiots. They lap this stuff up.
Yep.
We'll wrap it in a flag.
Yeah.
As
much as I hate to...
Sorry, I like what Hashby just posted there. He said the most touching part of the D-Day commemoration was watching President Macron and President Biden being awarding the Legion of Honor to U.S. veterans. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and it's recognizing that was, you know, that the war wasn't won by Britain, it wasn't won by America, it was won by the Allies.
Yeah,
and we forget that Russia played a massive part in that.
Russian blood and American dollars.
Yeah,
that's basically what that. And there was an awful lot of heroism from everybody else included. Yeah. But the you know, if you want to be sort of cold and calculating, it was the Russian blood that bled the forces of evil, both at Leningrad and Stalingrad, and then you had the US supporting the West or supporting Britain before it entered. So and quite rightly they're getting recognised for that. I mean, these guys, I mean, I have never ever had to face anything of that extremity. Ramp going down and onto a beach.
And there's a tendency to think, modern days that in 1939 to 1945, that Germans and Nazis were synonymous. And the truth is, it wasn't. The Nazis were a small percentage of the population. the majority of the ruling population, of course. And the people that died, the ordinary German people that died, they were fathers and sons, brothers of people that weren't interested in politics. They were just told, you have to join up, you have to go and fight. And these people that talk about national service, one, it's the people that are never going to do it.
Yeah.
And two, it's also the people that are never going to see the blood and the tears that are associated with the policies that they propose.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally agree with you on that one. It's how can people in this day of ease at gaining information, we can get information if we want, the classic line on social media that really does annoy me: do your own research. You haven't researched at all, you've just reinforced a bias. But we can get access to just about every piece of information we want to get our hands on. All right, there's somewhere out there has got it.
I know, and Hashbury's obviously been doing that already. He's pointed out the largest landowner in Scotland is actually a Danish billionaire named Anders Holch Provisen, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, with more than 220,000 acres across 13 estates. Thank you, Hashbury. But I'm pretty sure that the Royals are quite up close to that. But the thing is, do we have an issue with a Danish person owning Scottish land?
That was Dutch.
No, I said Danish. Did I say Dutch? Did I say Dutch? He wrote Danish. I read Dutch. That's clearly mine. It's because I seen Anders assumed he was Dutch, not Danish.
Do I have a problem with that? Well, I'd like to know where his tax money is going.
That's a good point. And what's he using it for? Yeah.
Is it? I know they were buying and planting trees as tax evasion many years ago. I don't know if that's still the case. So I'll tell you what. Hashbury's given us something to investigate.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have a dig into that, mate, and see what the score is. See whether he's some altruistic Danish billionaire, or whether he's
if he's a genuine good guy and doing things correctly, fine, fair dues. Or
whether he's doing private long pig hunting parties on the weekend. We don't know these things, do we?
Yeah, we don't know. No, and there'll be one or two people out there wondering what the long pig is.
Yeah, allegedly, before any lawyers get involved, by the way.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's been a weird old time. Yeah. So national service ain't gonna happen.
No,
ain't gonna happen. It would require too much of an investment by the government to set up. I don't think it's a particularly bad idea, but it won't be funded because we don't have the uniforms, the materials, the estates, the training areas, the facilities to do it.
They're barely keeping those in uniform in a working order. They don't need an increase of 100,000 people, and presumably that's all army that is going to be, because the RAF don't need any more people because they've hardly got any jets, and certainly the Navy can't afford to put anything to see it. We've still got that bloody big aircraft carrier sitting on the side.
Look at how stupid it was. It was like either a year in the uniformed forces, right?
Yeah.
Or 28 weekends a year volunteering. Well, put it this way: who's going to rush to join the forces if you get away with just doing, a couple of weekends all the way? And what are they going to have them doing? Fruit picking, probably fruit picking in care homes, mate.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what it'll be.
Yeah.
Nice little stamp certificate at the end of it saying "Here's easy."
Yeah, Sunak desperate to try and. Well, Sunak must know he's losing. He must know he's going out. Yeah. So either that or he's more stupid than I thought I'm giving him credit for. So he knows he's going out. So because of that, he is desperate to try and get as much of that right-wing vote away from Farage. He's terrified of Farage.
So is he going to do? Is he going to do the honourable thing when he loses the election of resign as leader of the Conservatives? That tends to be what happens, isn't it?
Yes, he will resign.
So who have they got to step into his place?
Who cares?
What's her name? Was somebody was going today? What's her name?
Not Braverman.
No. Blonde. Did the swimming thing.
Oh, Penny Mount or whatever.
Penny Mordaunt, yeah.
Yeah.
Penny Mordaunt, yeah. Which is probably, I could see that happening.
Yeah, great. Another right-wing fascist.
I could see that being a thing. Yeah, I could see that being a thing.
Yeah, again, she's done what, 6 weeks reserve naval training or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. She's a raving expert on the military.
I know. But to be fair, mate, there's we've gone past the time where politicians would have had real life, experience of the forces, because in the 50s and 60s they'd kind of lived through it, and now we've got these pretendy types that get the honorary ranks. Ruth Davidson, who was I think reached the dizzy heights of Lance Corporal in the Signals TA. Then becomes an honorary colonel, does the photo op, sitting on tanks and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just random, isn't it? But we'll see how it goes, shall we?
Right. Anything.
And Labour's not much better, mate. They've got no one. They've got that working class kid, Keir Starmer, who's a
wasn't he head of the Stasi the last time?
His dad was a toolmaker, apparently.
He certainly made one.
Did you see the thing where it was the video where the kid was telling him about how they had to wear sort of kind of extra pajamas and things because they were really cold at night, and he was like, my son loves his onesie."
Really? So that's
like, how
instant connect.
Tone deaf can you get, mate?
Yeah. Well, that's what they are. They have got a series of answers, same as the royalty. The royalty will never give you an answer. They will give you what they think you're that they've been told to give, and that's where William keeps messing up, because his advisors are as rotten as everybody else. Yes, wasn't Keir Starmer a leader of the Stasi the last time the Labour were in? Wasn't he a public prosecutor or something like that?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was DPP, wasn't he? Director of Public Prosecutions.
There you go. Yeah, Stasi. Yeah. So, do we want him as Prime Minister? I mean, he's a good, solid Labour guy.
Yeah, but that's the thing, mate. That's the option, isn't it? Is Sunak or Sunak's replacement, or Starmer? It's like the old South Park episode. It's a douche or a shit sandwich. Isn't it? That's the choice.
It really is. And of course, the way Scotland can get out of this is vote SNP.
Absolutely. The polls are not terrible, but it looks like the SNP are going to probably take a hit a little bit. And the truth is, every seat lost is going to be seen by the Westminster cabal as proof that independence is no longer the desired wish of the Scottish people. Yeah. It's going to be done. I looked up came out today who's standing in my local area. So I've got a Green for the first time. They don't usually stand in my area. It's normally a straight fight between Labour, Tory, SNP, and some idiot from UKIP who's standing again. But this time there's a Green in there. There's a UKIP guy. There's some Reform standing a candidate in my constituency. So they're throwing all their eggs in, mate, to try and get some votes at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hoping what they do is they just take votes off the Tories.
Yeah.
But Tories were never going to get in where I live anyway, mate.
No, it's not going to happen.
Mate, it's been a Labour council for 70 years. We've had an SNP MP for the last two elections.
Right.
Since 2017, I think.
Right, you watching the time, buddy?
I am, mate. It's that time again, folks. gone really, really quickly again. But I want to thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to listen to us babble on. We shall do this again. I think probably the second Monday of the month next month.
Yes, so we'll be post-election then.
We will. We'll see who's in. So that'll be the. Yep. Don't make me do sums. It'll be after the election. It'll be the Monday after the election, I imagine. No, it'll be the Monday after the election.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see what comes in. So take care, everyone.
Yep. All the best. Stay safe, folks, and thanks for tuning in.
And be good. All the best, folks. Bye-bye.